as the BOA has started to have under its remit junior athlete events and junior elite athlete funding, it's really become a bit of our mandate now to facilitate at the national sports governing body level strategic planning for careers of athletes over time. So we're talking about recruitment at the bare minimum level, grassroots level, all the way up towards elite athlete and representation at our 4 major senior events. And so we brought in Andre Lachance, who his background is mainly baseball, but he's talked all over the world on this exact thing. So from training to competitions to how we get people to the higher levels, but also how we just sort of keep kids involved in sport and how this becomes a lifetime of sporting activity. So.
Yeah, so my goal will be for the participants to start thinking differently about sport development, about athlete development. That it's not only about the top of the athletes that we have, but it's also about developing a system that will build a foundation for development, and then therefore maybe have some good Olympians. But at the end of the day also, maybe have some, not maybe, but have some good citizens that can claim that sports have been very useful for them down the road. So as part of the conference tomorrow, it's going to be sharing of best practices, things that are being done in other places in the world. And also, like I said, talk about athlete pathway, talk about podium profile. What does it look like to be an Olympic athlete? And what are the gaps between what are the best athletes in the world? And how can we tackle those gaps and make a better system for everybody?
Globally, all countries have the same problem. You have all these athletes doing a lot of sports at a tender age of 8 through 14, and then when they decide or get to the age where it's you decide what you want to do, 80% tend to walk away. How do we maintain? Because our population isn't that big, and we already have low numbers. So how do we look to maintain those numbers, less than 80% walking away, and keep at least 50% involved in sports at a high level?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I would like to say that playing multi-sports growing up is something that is unfortunately disappearing in many countries. Kids start to specialize way too early. It's the case in my country, it's the case in the USA, it's the case in many countries. So we want to bring back the multi-sports approach. So you get to the next level with better skills. And with better skills that are transferable from one sport to another, you develop better athletes. And there's tons of research around that support that. And along the way also, if you don't end up as an Olympian, as a professional athlete, then you could go play other sports with your kids growing up, and then you could be active for life, and you could be durable as an individual as well. So it's kind of going beyond the Olympians, the professional athletes, but it's going to talk about also the durability of the human being, and see how you can be active for life as well.
This conference tomorrow is also then geared towards the people who facilitate a lot of sports, because in Bermuda, especially, I know because I'm around it a lot, you get individuals that want to lock off their athlete. If they see potential in them, they only want to do their sport, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So are you going to be strongly suggesting that they allow the youngster to do multi-sport as opposed to just...
But that's our message. So at the end of the day, multi-sports is the foundation of what we call physical literacy. So being able to do all kinds of movements at a young age with confidence and competence. So you could be active for life, or you could become an athlete that can aspire to the high level. But yes, we're going to talk about, now it's not about your athletes, it's about our athletes. How can we work together as a country within sports and also among sports in order to develop champions?
Katura, does this actually fit into the realm and the profile that the Bermuda Olympic Association's direction they want to go in, ensuring that we get multi-talented athlete as opposed to a particular sport athlete?
Absolutely. So as Andre pointed out, it's really difficult to know what your kid's going to be great at age 10. So, giving them sort of a love for sport and physical activity and sort of an affinity for what they could be in any of we've got 26 national sport governing bodies that are going to be here tomorrow. And they've got, these are upper echelon presidents and vice presidents, so people who are running the sports in this country, to get them sort of thinking along the lines of collaboration. And if we're all having the same goal, as Andre said, to grow our athletes sort of as a force, then we're not going to have a lot of the issues that we're dealing with now.
Now, last question for Andre. Your background is baseball, because I've researched that a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you spread that message around to look at various sports? Because when one comes up through a particular sport or has a background in a sport that's done all the history and everything, how do you make yourself more diverse?
Well, it's a very good question, and I think it's when we look at the good structure, we talk about good people, good places, and good programs. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. If we develop a system where we tackle those three elements, we're going to have success for sure. And back to what she said also, collaboration is key. And I know for sports sometimes it could be difficult because we're talking about change. When we talk about a system, we talk about change, we talk about paradigm shift, we're talking about something new, and we're talking about stepping out of your comfort zone. And sometimes it's challenging, but at the beginning it could be challenging, but when you start to see the results, as other countries have seen good results based on that approach, then you don't want to go back.
So the message tomorrow is patience, collaboration.
Yeah, and open-minded.